Hello dearies and welcome once again. In this video we're going to be cutting the pieces for this beautiful dress right here. I've actually made mine and it came out beautifully. I'll be sharing a little video, a sneak peek of what it came out to look like. If you look closely at this picture, it's actually a skirt and a cowl neck top. I'm going to be altering also the sleeves and then the skirt, the size of the skirt. On the picture it was actually pleated, but I'm going to be using elastic casing on mine. So if you're interested in such a content, kindly keep watching. So if you're clicking in for the first time, I encourage you and consider hitting the subscribe button and also put on your post notification bell so that you get notified whenever I put up a new video. So guys, let's delve right into this video, guys.
Hey darlings, and welcome back once again. First off, we're going to start off with the cowl top, right? The cowl neck top. It's the sleeves first, and I'll be making use of this pattern paper. Now, I shouldn't even use a pattern paper because it's just a free top. It has no darts, it has no fitting whatsoever. But for the purpose of the cowl in front, you have to be cutting and spreading rather, slashing and spreading rather. So that's the reason why I'm making use of this pattern paper. And I'm also going to be using this pattern paper to cut for the back and the front. Yes. I did something like that in my previous video and someone commented to say she was confused. But darling, if you follow me correctly, you won't get confused. The reason is I'm only trying this with the intent for you to know that with as little as you've got, you can produce or create designs of your choice. Okay, so with this I'm going to cut out the back piece first and then go ahead to cut out the front. So right here is a piece of pattern paper. Alright, this is actually leftover pattern paper. Right, so I already made my start line, which is going to act as my shoulder line, and the length of my top is going to be about 26 inches. Okay, so this way. So I'm going to be fast with it because this is actually just the basic bodice. Alright, this is just the basic bodice. Alright, the next thing we want to do is to take our shoulder measurement. Alright, the shoulder I'll be making use of for this tutorial is 7 inches. Okay, alright, and then we go down to take the bust point, which is about 10.5 inches, and then the half length, which is about 17 inches. So I'm just going to rule those lines out. Alright, and then we can go on from there. Another important measurement we need to take is the chest line. Okay, so for yours, as in to get your chest line, that's if you don't measure on the client's body, it's just about 2 inches above the bust line. Whatever your bust line is, 2 inches above the bust line is actually your chest line. So we're going to be marking that out this way. Okay, and I'm going to rule that out also. Okay, we're progressing. Alright, there's something I usually do and it has been working for me as a standard. Okay, I do the 3 inches, 8 inches standard for my neck, my shoulder line. Alright, it helps me to get the accurate shoulder slope. Okay, so it's just basically you put on your shoulder line the 8 inches mark, alright, this way, and then the 3 inches mark, which is about 5 inches this way. Come down by the 8 inches mark by 1 inch this way. I don't know how best to explain this, but it totally works for me all the time. Alright, and simply draw your slope from the 8 inches mark this way to the 3 inches mark, and voila, that is it. Alright, probably I'll make a basic bodice tutorial on these channels just so we can move on smoothly. Alright, I'll give better explanation on that particular standard which I derived. Okay, so that being said, and then for the shoulder, the armhole rather, just basically to the chest line, what you just need to do is replicate what you have here, which is your shoulder line, which is 7 inches. Bring it down here also, 7 inches, and we're going to draw that out this way. Alright, this is going to be our armhole. Okay, where our armhole is going to sit. So the next thing we want to do is to take our measurement, impute our measurements. Our bust measurement, around bust measurement is 40 inches, and 40 inches divided, we're going to be dividing all measurements by 4 because we're cutting in a quarter. Okay, remember I said we're cutting the back piece first. Alright, just work with me, you understand better. Alright, so our bust measurement, our bust is also going to be taken from also the chest line. Let me label this. This is the chest line, this is the bust line, this is the waist line, and then the hip line. Okay. Now next thing we want to do is to input our bust measurement divided by 4, and our bust is 40 inches divided by 4 will give us 10 inches. So for 10 inches, we want to add a little ease of about quarter inch, right? Quarter inch, so that will be giving us 10 1/4. We're going to mark that right there. Our waist measurement is 36 inches. 36 inches divided by 4 will give us 9 inches. So we're going to also be adding ease. Probably this time we're going to be adding ease of about half an inch or 3/4 inches. That's just because of you want some ease around the waistline, right? And remember that this outfit doesn't have a zipper at the back. It's not going to have any fitting whatsoever, so you just want it to be free. Okay, so for the waistline, I'm going to be adding about 3/4 inches just because I do not want any sort of fitting on this dress whatsoever, right? So on this mark, I'm marking 9 3/4, and then for the hip, my hip measurement is 47 inches divided by 4 will give us 11 3/4. So we're going to be marking 11 3/4 plus half inch is, that makes it 12 1/4, right? So this is what we have right here. So we're going to be joining these marks together. I forgot to mention, you mark your bust measurement from the chest line. Sorry, I was confused there. From the chest line, and then on the bust line, the waistline, and then you mark the hip on the hip line. So the next thing we want to do is to make our curve, our armhole curve right here, using our curve rule. So we're going down to the neckline. Okay, I would like for us to cut both, to mark both for front neckline and back neckline. For the neck width, we're going for 4 inches, and for the neck depth for the back, we'll be going for 1.5 inches. Okay, and then for the neck depth for the front, we want to go about, let's say 4 or 4.5 inches. Let's go for 4.5 inches. So at this point, we're going to just make a curve right this way for the back. And then for the front, okay, next I want to do right here to come up by the hem right here by 2.5 inches, just to make a curve this way. Just to make a curve this way. So I'm going to be making use of my free hand to do just that. Okay, so this is what we're going to be making use of. The next thing I want to do right now is to add 1 inch to the hem and then 1 inch for side seam allowance. Yes, so this is basically all that we need for the back piece. So I'm going to go ahead to cut this particular piece on my fabric and then come back to work on the front. I've quickly cut out the back piece, alright? This is what we have for the back piece. So I'm going to set this aside, right? And then now we get to work on the front piece. Okay, now this is where the details are, right? So remember that our neckline, we chose about 4.5 inches in depth. So the only thing we have to do here, since we're working, I told you every other thing has been done, everything has been measured, it has no darts, it has nothing, it's just a simple dress, a simple top rather. You just have to make slash lines, okay? Now we want to make slash lines around the neckline right here, and then spread them open. Okay, so what to I'll be making about three slash lines. Okay, we have 2 inches here, and then let me cut out another. Let me measure out another 2 inches above the chest line. Okay, this way. So I'm just going to roll that out. Alright, and this is all that you need. Alright, you might want to make more slash lines just to open this all up, like open it more. Okay, that way the more you have the more slash lines you have, the more fullness and the more droppings or dripping rather you have on the neckline. So we're just going to go ahead to cut. First we want to cut out the neckline. Okay, and then to make slash lines, we're going to cut, but we're not going to cut all through. Okay, so we're doing that this way, and then on the chest line, and then on the bust line also. Alright. Yeah. So you see what we have here? So we are going to be slashing this open like so. Alright. Now do not mind what it looks like. I'm going to be slashing this right open. So I'm going to bring back my fabric and then place this on it, and then I'll show you. Spreading that can be sometimes time taking. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to measure out from the tip of the neckline right here to what you have here. This is about 13 inches, which is also good. Okay, let's just open a little more. Alright, so we want to measure that, and this is about 13 inches, which is also cool. Alright, so on that 13 inches mark, you want to make a line this way. We just scattered all that we have been doing since. Alright, so you might want to pin when you're making, when you're trying out yours. Alright, so I'm just going to work with this, like this. You can as well, if you want to reduce the curl, alright, this effect, this little effect you're having here, you might want to, if you want to reduce it, okay, you can just close it all up a little, this way, okay. This should be about 10 inches or 9 inches. Yeah, this is about 9.5 inches. Alright, but I want mine to be as open as, let's say, 13 inches. Okay, this is 12. I think 12 is fine also. Alright, so if you can see this marking right here, yes, I know my fabric is, the design is so much. Alright, yes, so this is where our mark is. I'm so sorry about the fabric. Okay, so you want to go up by 4 inches. This is going to be this is going to serve as the facing, okay, the facing for the cowl neck, just so it falls inside. Alright, so you want to mark about 4 or 5 inches. I'm making use of 5 inches. Okay, 5 inches this way. Oh my goodness, this thing is not even taking chalk at all. Okay, here's what we want to do. I hope you saw that. I think we can see this right here. Okay, so the next thing I want to do right now is to cut. Alright, we're going to be cutting. So when we get to this point, which is about the neckline, the neck tip right here, we're going to slant this way diagonally. The next thing you want to do right now is to pin. You might want to pin your paper, your pattern paper to the fabric before you cut, but I'll just go ahead and cut. And that's it. So we're going to be putting this out, and then this is what we have for our top, our front bodice. Okay, this is going to be the shoulder, and this other part is going to be the curl. So for our sleeve, instead of using this basic sleeve right here, I'm going to be making the hemline. Same as this. Okay, so instead of having a fitted round sleeve, we're going to be having a bogus one, so that we can just attach elastic to the hem. Then I'll have to increase this by the length by about 2 inches, thereabout 2 to 3 inches. I think I'll go for 3 inches. Okay, when I cut that out, you see clearly. So I'm going to do this and cut for both sleeves. So this way. Okay, so I'm going to cut this for both sleeves, and then attach a little elastic at the hem right here, and then fix the fabric, fix to it. The skirt, I went ahead to just fold my fabric into quarter of my hip circumference. Right, my hip circumference is about 46 inches. Divided by 4 is 11.5, and I'm just going to add 1 inch side seam allowance. I'm going to be using that side seam allowance also for my casing. Alright, we'll get there. But before then, I just want to let us know that this fabric, if you look at that skirt closely, it was pleated by the side. Okay, there are pleatings by the side, but for this tutorial I'm not going to be pleating. I'm going to be making use of elastic casing by the sides. All right, so you can do whatever you prefer to use. You can pleat, okay, you can also use drawstrings. You can as well use your elastic, okay, to create the ruffles by the sides. I mean the gathering by the side. This is not the butterfly one which used to have excess fabric by the sides. This is just pleatings by the side. Okay, let me not bore you much with that. So for this, what you need to have is a 60 inches. Now this fabric is by 60 in length. Okay, so what you want to do when you want to have this fullness, all right, what you need to do is you take your measurement, like assuming you're taking your for this tutorial we're taking our waist to ankle measurement, and for our waist to ankle measurement is about 40 inches. So we need from 20 to 25 inches more, okay, just to give you the fullness, the effect, all right, the gathering effect. Okay, and here we have a 60 inches in length fabric. Okay, so we already have our 20 inches, that's 40 plus that. So as we wanted to make this your like knee length, then you take your knee length measurement and then add extra 20 to 25 inches more in length, so that when you gather up you can have all that fullness and then it gets back to your knee length. I hope you got that. Okay, so for this we're not going to be cutting this, so I'm going ahead to fold this into a quarter of my fabric. So I'm going to just pull this down this way so we can see closely. All right, put that in place with my scissors. Now a quarter of my hip measurement is about 11 3/4 inches. So I want to be sure that I have up to 12, sorry, 11.5 inches. I want to be sure that I have up to 12.5 inches on fold. Okay, that we already have here. So I'm going to ensure that I have that all through. So you might want to pin. I'm going to be doing that later on. Okay, you want to come up here to the waistline. Alright, we'll be using this part here as a waistline. Now for the waist, my waist measurement is about 35 inches divided by 4 is 8 3/4. So I'm going to add 1 inch side seam allowance, which makes it 9 3/4. Okay, so we're marking our 9 3/4 right here. We want to come down from the waistline right here about 8 inches in length. It's about the hip line, and that's somewhere around here. I'm so sorry about this fabric, but just follow me, you understand better. So my hip, like I said, we're using this hip measurement straight down to the hem. Okay, and we're making use of, my hip is 46 divided by 4 is 11.5 plus 1 inch side seam allowance, which makes it 12.5. So we're marking 12.5 inches right here, and then we take this 12.5 inches straight up onto the length, the hem rather. If you have enough fabric, you can slant it up. Maybe at the hem you have about 13.5 inches, just so it widens up around there a little, because I'm not going to be adding side and back slits to this dress. There's nothing like back slit here. Okay, so I'm just going to draw this up to meet this, the waistline to the hip line right here, and then draw our 12.5 inches mark straight down this way. So this right here is our front piece, okay, from the waist to the hip, and like I said, the hip measurement we're taking it straight down. At the long run, at the hem line there, I made it 13 inches, which was just about half inch added to the hip measurement. All right, so I'm going to fold this and put this aside, and then fold my fab for the back piece, and then place this on it to cut out my back piece. When I had to cut for the back piece, all right, the only difference is the 1 inch side seam zip allowance, which I left right here at the center of the skirt. So this is basically all that we need, right? Remember I said 1 inch. I had to cut this off so that you can see after I'm done, just so that because of the fabric. Okay, now here is just 1 inch side seam allowance, sorry, 1 inch zip allowance rather, right? Same, everything is same as the front piece. Okay.
So this is basically all for the cutting of this tutorial. I know it might look a little confusing at this time, but not to worry. In my next video, we're going to be sewing this together and you're going to understand every part of this. So thank you so much for watching and thank you for clicking in. Consider hitting the subscribe button if you've watched till this time, and also drop a comment for me in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and if it was helpful. Here is a quick video of how mine came out. Thanks and bye.